about how to implement those rules and what to do if they are breached. And this is where arbitration can come in. Now, I have to talk about the ICC Court of Arbitration, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, arbitration center in the world. For you to understand a little bit what the arbitration courts are about, is that we, for instance, the ICC, we are placed in Paris, and our goal is to administer and help the parties to efficiently carry out arbitrations. We are not arbitrators. We are only the secretariat in the court, and the parties actually nominate the arbitrators who decide the matter on the merits. We have had an experience of over 80 years, and our experience is very vast. We are currently handling 1,400 cases, and the arbitrations actually take place all over the world. So they can take place in Paris, but also in Warsaw, in Tokyo, in Washington, and also the fact that the court and the secretariat are very international, because we are like over 30 people working at the secretariat. There are over 25 nationalities. This guarantees that we can actually help we understand what are the legal cultures all over the world, and we can speak to them in different languages. So you should not see the Paris ICC arbitration court as something very French and accessible only to French-speaking people. It's very international, actually. And so we have experience with parties from all over the world, and so we also, it is interesting to know that over 10% of the parties in ICC arbitrations are state or parasitical entities. So we have had experience with those, and our proceedings are sufficiently secure and well administered in a way as to guarantee a good level of arbitrations in comparison to national systems. The idea of arbitration is that the parties can agree in advance or subsequently, when the request for arbitration is already filed, on mostly everything. The parties, when you sign the contract and you think about dispute resolution, you can agree where your arbitration will take place. You can agree whether you have one arbitrator or 3 arbitrators. You can also say, for instance, if the amount of dispute exceeds $1 million, then we will have 3 arbitrators, if not 1 arbitrator. You can agree on the applicable substantive law. You can agree on time limits. For instance, you can say, we want each arbitration to finish within 6 months, and this will have to be done by the arbitrators. And also, the secretary will do everything possible in order to have it done quickly. The idea in the arbitration is that each party can nominate its own arbitrator. If there is one arbitrator, the parties may jointly nominate an arbitrator. So you really choose your arbitrators or your judges, which is which can be interesting if you want to have special qualities of the arbitrators, if you want them to speak particular languages, if you want them to have experience in a particular sector. And also, these issues you can put in your arbitration clause. For instance, you can say we want to have arbitration in Paris with 3 arbitrators, all of which have experience in patent law, for instance. And the idea of arbitration is that the parties and the arbitrators agree on how this arbitration should be conducted. So, for instance, whether there's a hearing or not, this is agreed with the parties. Whether the proceedings are bifurcated or no, this is also, everything has to be consulted with the parties. That's the general idea. Now, very often we have heard critics that institutional arbitration is very expensive because you have to, for those of you who don't know, the arbitration is either administered by institutions such as ICC, or you may have so-called ad-hoc arbitrations, where just the parties appoint arbitrators who just simply, grant arbitrations without any supervising body above them. And actually, if you look at the cost of arbitration, we have done some research, and only 20% of the global cost of arbitration is the fees of the arbitrators, the expenses of arbitrators, and ICC administrative expenses. As such, the ICC, our administrative expenses, it's really small. It will be like 2 to 5%, not more. So it really, I'm not saying that it doesn't cost anything, but it's really not ICC, which costs a lot. 80% of all your arbitration costs is mostly legal fees. So this is what costs the most. And also, when I was saying about the fact that parties can agree on everything and everything has to be consulted with the parties, there are ways to minimize the cost of arbitration. If the matter is simple, you can agree not to have a hearing, you can limit the number of briefs, so it doesn't have to be that costly. As mentioned before by Susan, we have had experience already in the, there's an ICC arbitration clause in the FAO International Treaty, which proves that we can deal with with the matters which are, sort of genetic resources, so I think it's the same subject matter as the one we are discussing today. But mostly, I think ICC arbitration is fit for whenever you have many countries and many companies agreeing on something, they need to have a compliance worldwide. The ICC is so international, and we have such an international experience, and we have experience with state entities as well, that we are quite fit to administer such arbitrations. And also the idea behind this all is that if you agree to arbitration, the awards which will be rendered by arbitrator or arbitrators in such an arbitration will be perfectly enforceable worldwide, thanks to the New York Convention of 58. Which was signed by most of the countries in the world. And different to if you have a national court rendering an award, it has to go through all the system, you have to have it enforced in the other country, and if there is a bilateral agreement between the countries, and this can take time. With ICC awards, it's quite easy. Further, you have to remember that the special feature of the ICC is that we are the only arbitration center in the world which actually scrutinizes the award. What happens is that whenever there is an arbitrator or arbitrators want to render an award, they do not send the award directly to the parties. This is analyzed and checked by the Secretariat and by the court in order to avoid that no mistakes are in the award. So I think this is particularly interesting if you talk about compliance, because if ICC would be competent for all disputes involving arising out of a contract, then all the disputes will come to the ICC, and ICC will see all the awards, so we can ensure that there's the same level of implementation of this contract by the arbitrators. So this is a very good quality guarantee. And also, you have to remember that whereas before national courts, you mostly have 2 to 3 instances, if the parties agree to ICC arbitration, the award which is rendered in ICC arbitration is final and binding, and you have no appeal. There are some, if there were really big problems regarding the award, for instance, the rules of public order in a particular country were breached, there are ways to annul an award, but this is really very rare, and we don't get many awards annulled. The important thing about ICC arbitration is that it is confidential. The proceedings of the week are not allowed to talk about arbitrations which are before our court. Arbitrators cannot do this, and all awards are confidential. And even if they're published, sometimes they are published, unless the parties don't want them to be published. But then, even if they're published, the all information about the parties is crossed out.